for me, I think the essential part of what I do is just helping them to find themselves, to find what they truly want in their life, what kind of life they desire, and then to build from that desire. Because people might not necessarily think that that is something that is possible to do. So it's important for me to help them to navigate that and find possibility. And also just to make it easier for them. So streamline the process. I feel like we're just kind of like clearing out the path so that they found it easier to travel to where they want to go. So I have to go through the process of acknowledging that I have negative emotions. And one of them was anger. This process for me is interesting, as in I've never really given a lot of thoughts on vulnerability. And how do you pick that up? I don't know. It's amazing how intuitive you are to pick up the information that is really needed for the sake of the conversation, but also for me. So I had a great time, and thank you for doing what you do.
Thank you. Hi everyone, welcome back to the coaching channel. Today I'm interviewing another coach. Her name is Moon Lee. She is a certified positive intelligence coach. She's been recognized by the International Coaching Federation for her volunteer coaching work. And on her LinkedIn profile, she describes how she helps high-achieving sales professionals be calmer and perform better. But there's more going on, so I want to find out more about Moon and give my version of her purpose as a gift to her. Thanks for watching, and please click the subscribe button to help us reach more people.
Well, thank you so much for having me. What a pleasure to have this conversation in a chilly autumnal morning. So my background actually has always been in sales. I've done B2B sales for large organizations and promoting educational programs. I've also helped organizations to enter the Chinese market. For example, if you want to take your business there, you want to know the logistics of how to run it, how to set it up, and all of that. So for the past 15 years, that's kind of like the front row of consulting and selling programs and promoting programs. I transitioned to coaching in 2017, and it's one of those stories. It sounds really, it just sounds really tacky, but I experienced coaching myself, and I was like, this is such an amazing skill set to have, because it's going to enhance my conversational skill. It's going to enhance my listening skill of listening to people, which I'm already doing on a daily basis. I talk to people around the world, consulting. So I've transitioned into coaching in 2017 and started to build my own coaching practice. Just like yourself, I went through coactive training. I absolutely loved them. And then I went through positive intelligence training during the lockdown, and absolutely loved them. All of these modalities and methodologies just kind of helped me to find myself as a coach. So at the moment, I'm doing, a lot of things I'm doing is focusing on consulting and coaching. So on the consulting side, I'm helping business to enter China. On the coaching side, I'm helping business, professional people to just be grounded and performed and find that balance. Probably very similar. There's a lot of similarities all the coaches do, but for me, I think the essential part of what I do is just helping them to find themselves, to find what they truly want in their life, what kind of life they desire, and then to build from that desire. So I felt like I've covered a lot.
And I know there's more to say. I'm just taking it all in.
Mm-hmm.
So what's important to you about helping people, let's say, enter that Chinese market? And okay, I'll leave it at that. What's important to you about that process?
I think it's important for me is to, first of all, help them to see the possibility, because people might not necessarily think that that is something that is possible to do. They wouldn't necessarily think, oh, I can just set up a company there and do business there. They might think that there's a lot of obstacles, which they are. They are obstacles, language, cultural barriers, etc. So it's important for me to help them to navigate that and find possibility. And also just to make it easier for them. So streamline the process. So we would tell them exactly what they need to give us in terms of documentation, and then we'll make it happen. So in a way, there is, I feel like we're just kind of like clearing out the path so that they found it easier to travel to where they want to go. Not so different from what we do as a coach, really.
No, it sounds very similar. In, I've got now an image of the Great Wall of China, and in the parts where it's complete and standing there, I can imagine it looks like there's no way through. So that might deter people from trying to cross into China in that setting, and maybe
Exactly.
that's how people could, as you described, can look at going to China and starting a business. They just see obstacles. So there's something around you clearing a path to bring someone to that wall or whatever it might be, and then helping them navigate the little the bits and bobs where they can climb up that wall and go and have what they want, go and experience what they want to experience, moving their business into or working with businesses in China.
Okay. Yeah, that's a beautiful analogy. And if you have ever been to the Great Wall, it's usually filled with people. So it's really hard to climb over lots of people in front of you to see the view. But there's different, I think there's different bits of it. Some bits of it's more remote, but the popular part usually is very busy. And it's funny, next week is the national holiday in China. So from the 1st to the 7th of October, this is where the majority of Chinese people are not working and taking holiday. And they are very likely to go to the Great Wall. So I'm going to try to find some image online and send it to you. Like, this is what the Great Wall look like now, Rob. It's probably covered with hats.
Please do. And so if the Great Wall, is highly populated with people at certain times of the year, that could be maybe like the Chinese markets. People. It is highly populated. It's not a place that it's just barriers. There are opportunities, but you're clearly someone who helps someone else navigate that. So
yes.
Tell me a bit more about, what do you hear from people when you're listening to them? What do you hear when they talk of obstacles?
I think depends. So there's different kind of customers. Some of them did their homework. So they've done a lot of researches. They focus a lot on the don'ts. They kind of know some of the do's, but then they have a lot of doubts about the don'ts. And because of the certain news that they might be reading, so they might be skeptical of the environment and potentially, risk assessment, I think is a huge part of that, right? So the conversation, a lot of the time I have is just to answer their questions. Like, how much does it cost? What does it look like? What kind of legal necessity do I have to bear in mind? So there's around about managing risk, minimizing that risk, and also helping them to maximize the hope and possibility. I always ask them, like, what is your plan? Do you have a business plan? What do you visualize? A lot of the coaching questions is very useful. Like, what do you visualize your business in 5 years? Do you want to employ local staff? Do you see yourself going over there and managing, or do you just want to do it remotely? All of the things are just really practical questions to make them feel like they already have a business there and this is what it looks like to run a business there. It's not just something that you put on a piece of paper and then it happens. Actually, a lot of it is, similar to coaching. We wanted to take people from point A to point B, but they are the person who have to walk that path. So they need to really think about, do I have the steps to go there? If I don't, first of all, do I have an end goal? What do I want? So
okay, so those simple questions that you're asking, those kind of coaching questions, I can see how that might make barriers dissolve, because as you ask questions and people come up with those answers, you said, okay, well, what's your first 5 years? Well, how do you imagine that will look like? What will you be doing? What markets will you be in? I could imagine you just walking them closer to the Great Wall, and they're in the middle of answering your questions, and you're listening, and you're asking other powerful questions, and they're taking a few steps up, and before they know it, they're there. The obstacle that was a barrier has dissolved slightly.
Yeah, that's a very ideal scenario. In reality, a lot of people, they might not know the answer. They might not necessarily want to have those kind of conversations. They just want to know how much it costs. What do I have to do? And I mean, all the conversations are unique. There's no one conversation that's alike. And like I said, sometimes people have done their homework, so it's a lot easier to kind of walk them to that gray wall. But some of them have never done any homework. They have no idea. Sometimes they don't even know what they really want from their own business. So in that sense, I am not in a position to create that for them. So I will encourage them. I will send them information from the website and see, like, look, you can read up, these are all the websites, all the information that I believe will help you. So I send them links, kind of like educate them in a way that it makes sense to them for what they want to do. And sometimes I never hear from them, which is fine. But I think it doesn't matter which part of the engagement is. I see every opportunity is a unique opportunity to talk to people. And like I said, all the conversations are different.
Partly because you're meeting them at different stages of a journey.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay. So I used to be a teacher, and you'd have to meet students where they were at. In a class of 30 children.
How old are they? How old were they?
Oh, so I taught everyone. Well, I taught age 7 through to 18 in my career at different schools. But, in any class, you'd find people at different levels or different abilities. So you'd have to kind of meet them where they are. But I can see that. So you said everyone is different, but there's one thing that is the same, which is you. In terms of you're the common denominator amongst all these conversations. So if we go back to the analogy of the wall of China, maybe some people are standing quite far back from it. Some people are ready to go over it, and everything in between. And I can just see you kind of going along that line and having really important conversations and doing a lot of listening to work out what has someone stand where they are and why they're not further back or why they're not further forward, and helping them understand what are the simple steps to move further towards that goal.
Yeah, kind of signposting. I'm the signpost.
Signpost. You're more than a signpost. Did you say you're a signpost? No.
No, I feel like I'm the signpost in that position.
So you kind of like could be, but then the signpost not only listens and actually, asks questions. So how did this all begin, by the way? You performing this role?
Yeah, I was approached by the owner of the company. We met in a networking event, and she approached me and she said, I really want somebody like yourself in my team. And when she approached me, I was working for a private owned school. So like I said, I was doing B2B corporate sales. So what I would do is I would approach companies like Apple's and Walmart. And one of my biggest clients was a nuclear power station. So we will either be approached by them or approach them and say, this is the training programs that we have. Sometimes they have a lot of expats stationing in China, so they need to learn Chinese language. They don't need to be fluent, but it's good for them to know some of it, just the daily basic vocabularies. Also, there's a part of cultural. So how do you navigate Western and Chinese culture working in the same corporate environment? What does that look like? Are there any etiquettes we need to be aware of? So we have those kind of programs. I've been doing the program, promoting the programs at that point when these consultations owners approach me. So I kind of think about what I want to do, the capability for me to go further as a profession. So I chose to basically go with the consultation firm at that point. It wasn't, I don't feel like it's a leap. It wasn't like I'm letting go of everything and start anew. It's very similar to what I was doing already. So it's kind of like just transitioning from one field to the next. But what I do feel really, really different is when I started to get into coaching. I think that is kind of like a wild, wild west. I don't know how you feel about the coaching industry. I felt like it's the wild, wild west. And we are like the cowboys and the gunslingers that is trying to basically equip herself to kind of fight in this amazing territory. But to me, that transitioning was far more impactful than any other career decision that I've ever made. And it's also something that I don't need to, I think different people have different approach, of course. I respect that. But for me, I just felt like this is a treasure box that I've gained by becoming a coach, the certification I've gone through, the trainings and all of that. And it's ongoing. Like, I don't think it will ever end. I don't know how many books you're trying to read, Rob, but for me, it's like so many books, so many things I want to learn. So yeah, I think my whole journey is just transitioning from one place. And myself probably are going through that wall, you know, when we're talking about climbing the wall. So I'm also going from one stage of the wall to the next.
Mm. There is something there about your journey of transitioning and your clients' journeys of transitioning.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I firmly believe that people choose coaches, particular coaches, because there's some sort of bond, and it can be because that coach has a quality that, let's say I choose a coach that has a quality that I don't believe I have in abundance. Or they've gone on a similar journey. They know my world. There can be lots of reasons. I think we might not actually advertise certain things about ourselves, but people kind of pick it up on a some sort of level. So maybe people pick up that you're the person to go on a journey of transition with, and you've been on it yourself.
Absolutely.
So okay, so
energetically.
Yeah, and I agree. I agree with. I think I agree with what you said about the coaching world being slightly like the Wild West, because it's an unregulated industry. We've both been through a level of training and certification that gives us, well, it's sort of recognised qualifications, let's say. But what I do think coaching does is it just amplifies what's sitting there already in us, and we both see coaching as a really valuable method of getting that out of ourselves and making it available to other people.
100%.
That's kind of what I'm picking up from yourself. So you're helping people transition. You're meeting them where they are. This is me kind of laying the land in my head of, so I can start plotting the purpose I'm going to present to you later on.
Okay.
So you meet people where they are. It's kind of like you've been there and you're coming back, and people can sort of clearly see that you've been on that journey. And out of all the people that might be stood outside the wall of China, you know, advertising their ability to help, I think people would see, oh no, actually, there's something about me. Like, she's been through transition. She's got something that I want, and she simply listens to my questions and helps me gain confidence through me coming up with some of the answers to her questions. So there's quite a soft touch to a gentle touch to what you're doing, but it really helps people kind of mesh with you. Think, yeah, okay, I'm ready to transition with Moon. Meshing. So what does the future hold for you, Moon? What do you intend to be doing in the next 1 to 5 years? Where's this going?
I think the future for me is how I'm living my life now on a daily basis. So I can see myself getting in a much bigger stage. There's a part of me screaming like, don't go there. It's very comfortable here. But as we are saying on this journey, we are leading by example. You know, we walk the walk, and then we come back and say, look, it's not so difficult. So yeah, the future for me, a much bigger stage. More of me will be shown to the world. So not just part of me. I'll be more comfortable just being with myself in my own skin. And I think when I am there, when I'm being myself in my own skin, feeling comfortable, feeling confident, giving the message that I want to give, I think everything else will fall into places. So I don't need to. I've been contemplating a lot on this, like, do we need to work harder? Do we need to put more effort in something? And I'm kind of starting to feel like actually that could be one way to do it. But also there's another way, which is just believing in yourself and going through the flow while putting the effort. But it's not like struggling. It's not like I have to grind this out, because I've been there as a salesperson. I've been grinding. I've been like, I need to like lose my sleep and, get really stressed out about it. So I guess to answer your question, I see my future with more positivity and less negativity.
Okay, so you're not going to give away. Well, you mentioned lots of things that could be contained under the umbrella of health. Yeah, so sleep and stress and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yes.
So a friend of mine once said, why give away the greatest free gift you'll ever have, only to have to buy it back at great cost later on?
Yeah.
Referring to health.
Mm-hmm.
So there is and that journey, as you said, is like, could be perceived, if you do that, it's perceived as hard work, working hard, therefore this means I'm doing the right thing, and that is almost like a tempting route to go down. I get the impression that there's a kind of maybe a fork in the road, and there is some temptation to do that, but you've got your own way. And there is something about you being a calm individual. When you have that, maybe that temptation to do life a certain way and sacrifice yourself and sacrifice your health, there is something about your calm nature that helps you pause and choose something else, choose your way. Have you always been calm?
No. Have you? Because to me, you were very calm.
No, not always been calm.
I've been to meeting with you, and you have not moved one iota from the whole meeting, and everybody else, like myself included, like waving around. And I look at you, and you were just like, I'm like, how does he do that?
I think my screen was just frozen.
It was frozen. I'm like, maybe it is frozen, but no, I think you have a calm persona. And I think I was about to say this, is I feel like I am the mirror of who I'm talking to. If I'm talking to somebody who is very energetic, I get very handy, like, Max, our Italian friend.
Yes.
If I talk to him, if you see our conversation, he's moving his hands, I'm moving my hands, I can be quite energetic as well. But I guess to get back to your point, I'm not always calm, no. But I am a reflection of my conversationist.
So going back to the line of people who all want to go on a journey, the closer they are to the wall of China, indicates some level of their readiness. You're going to where they are. You're like, the teacher meeting the students where they are, and also you're able to be that kind of mirror and be influenced by their energy and their questions. So that helps you relate to them, because they're seeing part of themselves in you, in how you respond to them.
Yes.
Okay. And what part of them do you help reflect?
Well, as a coach, I think we are the mirror that house possibility, what becomes possible if I choose to go down to this path, if I choose to work with this person, if I choose to listen to my voice and trust what is possible for me. A lot of the time, what I'm hearing is people have an idea of how they want to live and what they want to do, but they are too scared to choose that. So when I am presenting that mirror, basically I'm having them see, like, I can see that you have that potential. You have that potential. You just have to go for it. So that's part of them. But there's also another part of them. I am helping them to see themselves. And that includes the parts that they don't want to see. A lot of us would call that weakness, or our failure, the mistake that we have made. But that's going into further throughout the coaching process. I don't think very rarely I will have that conversation immediately with somebody, because I'm not sure if that will make somebody choose to work with you, if what they're experiencing is just immediately that kind of jarring reflection. But I do feel like throughout the coaching process, you have to unfold that part. And all of my clients, one way or another, have come to this realization, which is, I have to accept myself for who I am, because this is who I am, right? And it comes back to the acceptance piece. And that exactly was the piece that I have to go through myself as somebody who's being coached on the other side of the table. And just throughout the whole journey of being a coach and continuing to be a coach, I also have to continue to do that, which is accepting myself and working through those perceptions. I'm not good enough, or I need to do more. I need to learn more.
So that personal journey that you've been on, again, I use analogies all the time, but when your clients are looking at you and working with you, I think they'll be seeing someone, when you see someone return from it can be an arduous journey, or even a holiday. They've got evidence of it on their skin, or the clothes they're wearing. There might be an extra couple of holes in the knees of their trousers, or it is evidence that they've been there and they've done that. And so, not only are your clients seeing that you've been on a journey, over the wall to the other side, but they're also seeing that you have faced up to, you said, a weakness, internal barrier, obstacle, the way we usually trip ourselves up, which I firmly believe are sort of they're life skills, but they are sometimes deployed in the wrong setting, which is why they become obstacles. But they're just seeing you being vulnerable and being willing to look at everything, because I think success is reliant on that. It's like you could spend thousands and thousands of pounds, renovating a home, but if you ignore the foundations, it's not going to last that long. And that might be the area that your clients, I don't want to look there, but you make it okay. You make it okay to look there and to prepare them for success, like they're going on an expedition. You're looking at their kit. The rucksack's okay, but what you've got in it, you're missing a few things, and this is what you're going to need, and then comes Moon's questioning. So where are you going to find that? What are you going to need to go on that journey?
Yeah, I agree with that. And in order for me to help my clients to look at those foundations, I have to personally be willing to look at my own foundation, which is not always great. And isn't it amazing that whatever we learn to help other people, we first help ourselves, immediately. It's like, try this medicine. Oh no, I'm going to try it first, and it has helped me a lot, and it's going to help you. Medicine is not a good analogy. I don't think coaching is medicine. But yeah, that's the point that I've always made, is we need to walk the walk first. Otherwise, it's not very convincing. It's like, oh, this is a really good formula. And there's so many coaching methodology, and there's so many things we can learn. But I think the one that I found personally helpful is the one that has personally impacts me, that has personally transformed me, and has made me be okay with my own vulnerability. Because even now today, like when I think about what happens this week, there's still part of me that doesn't want to look at those things. It could be something that I said, it could be the way that I behave, and I have to sit with that and be okay with it. It's like, okay, I probably didn't do the best I can, but I'm a human, there's no way I could have predicted and just act in a perfect way. And perfection is a thing that I come across a lot in the coaching industry, not so much in the consultation work, but for whatever reason, I felt like my clients always wanted to be perfect. They want to do everything perfect. They want to have a perfect job. They want to have that perfect promotion. And if there's a tiny little bit of mistake, like you said, trip themselves up. And it's so hard for them to get over that. So yeah, there's a lot there.
Pressure of perfection. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I like the personal experience. I think is really important. This is one thing that feeds into people choosing particular people to work with, whether it's a coach or a mentor, an advisor, or counselor, therapist, whatever it might be. There's something around that person's personal experience that means something to them. So I think that's important. I say it's like waving a flag, and on the flag is kind of who you are as a coach and what you do and how you help people. And that's partly what I'm trying to do here at the coaching channel is I'm working out what's on the flag, as far as I'm concerned. So there is a certain kindness that you have, like going back to the expedition analogy. The person's arriving with a rucksack, which ideally will contain everything they need to go on the journey, but it doesn't. And that's why they're talking to you. But also, they just don't want to look in there, and you're very kind, and you make it okay to look in there and to see what's missing. Then you're asking them questions about what's missing and what they think might fill that gap in the kit, in the bag. And there's something about that questioning that you're doing which is transferring ownership to them, because they will be coming up with some of those answers. You help them get interested about something which might be they might want to avoid looking at, but you help them be a little bit interested about that. And there is something about you being a kind and calm individual and show your vulnerability. You've been on the journey yourself, that helps people do that.
Thank you.
So
that just reminds me, the rucksack. This reminds me, I've recently been on a holiday in Colorado, in the States with my husband.
Wow, yeah.
And we went hiking with one of the coach friends. He was also CTI trained. He's got abundant experience as a coach. And what he does was really unique. He takes clients to nature, and he has coaching conversations in nature. So he took us hiking, and he has a huge rucksack, like a proper backpack, and it was really already quite heavy. And I have a tiny, tiny rucksack. So the morning before we went, he asked me, he's like, "How much water are you taking?" I said, "1 bottle." And he's like, "No, you need to take 3. So I think one thing to remind us is when we went to Colorado, which is at the beginning of September, it was really hot. One day it was almost 40 degrees. The day we went hiking was also really hot. It was 37. So I guess my point is I was so ill prepared. I had no idea what I was expecting. I don't know where we were going. But usually when there's a trip, I have to say I'm not very well prepared. I just don't really think about what the possibility is there. So I felt a little bit guilty when you say that I'm helping people to check their rucksack. Actually, I need help with my own rucksack. But anyway, so I took 3 big bottles. I was gradually taking them because they're heavy. My friends prepare sandwiches, boil eggs, treadmills, more water in his backpack. When we reached the top, I've already drunk most of my water. And I was like consuming everything that he's giving me because I was really hungry. And I just felt such a relief and comfort in somebody like that. He had the experience where he has the experience not only on preparation, but also taking us there because he's walked that trail. It's on high altitude. So Colorado is a high altitude state. It's a mile high, a mile higher than sea level. So I can see the and also because what he does is help people, coach people along the journey. So he did say that from a safety perspective, he needs to be able to be well prepared and also help his client to be prepared physically, but also emotionally. Because if you feel like, I might potentially be in danger, then it's not a very relaxing journey for them. I learned so much from that trip. One is how much I need to be more prepared if I'm going on an expedition later without somebody like that. But also coming back to being a coach, I think there is a beauty of trying new things as a coach and getting yourself out of the comfort zone, because you might be doing something, checking the rucksack in the same way for many, many times, and you feel very comfortable with that process. But what about checking it a different way? What about trying a different rucksack? So yeah, what you just said reminds me of that
It's
recent
very, very
experience.
fitting. It's a great story because it's a great story, but you're now one of those people in the line trying to go over the wall. The wall being the hike in Colorado. So you're not only talking the talk, but you're walking the walk, because you're just putting yourself in the shoes of your clients.
Mm.
I think it's really powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Really powerful. That's like I don't know, a boxing coach being coached by a boxing coach. Putting the gloves on and getting in the ring and getting sweaty and getting dirty and taking a few punches. That's that's kind of sharpening your blade as a coach, I think.
It's taking that life experience and just continuously thinking about what that means for me as a coach.
Okay, so I sometimes ask people, and I can't remember where I got this analogy from. What is you don't know what it's like to live in your wake is the argument. So
Okay.
imagine a boat going along a pond with someone driving the motorboat, and they leave a wake behind them. Well, they're in the boat. They're never behind that boat in the wash and the wake they leave behind. But there are other people in the world who are sat in rubber rings and are bobbing around. And how someone is being, that boat is a metaphor for that. So if the boat is kind of bow high, ploughing slowly through the water and sending this awful wake, maybe that's them pushing people away from them and disturbing people. There are different types of wakes. So I think what you've done is you've found a way to experience something like your own wake, which is to be with someone who's enabling you to go on a journey. But they would have done it subtly different to you, or maybe obviously different to you. But your wake has something to do with kindness and calmness and vulnerability. Meeting someone, they're about to do something really challenging, and maybe the last thing they're expecting is that, and it might be a real comfort to have you with them at that particular point. What are you thinking of right now?
Well, when you talk about boats, I'm just thinking where I'm living, because I live by the canal, and I saw a lot of boats along Samur. It's really interesting. Now, a lot less so. I don't think they will take the boat out when it gets colder. But yeah, along Samur, there's many, many boats, and they cruise around on the canal system. A lot of these people own their boats, so it's their home. They were set up in a place. And there's one boat that is really particularly interesting is they have a cat. So when they docked on that part of the canal, they set up a post and say, "Cats around." And there's a sign, there's a cat on it. And I think the cat just walks around. Because sometimes what on the other side of the canal is kind of like a piece of woodland. So maybe the cat can explore. But it just really, I always imagine what it feels like to be living on a canal. And I have actually one night, probably due to boredom, I went into a black hole of watching YouTube channels on living on canal. Like, how much does it cost?
Yeah,
it's more expensive than you think. It's more expensive than you think. And how do I buy a boat? That kind of thing. There's a guy, his whole YouTube channel is about him selling his house, selling his cars, buying a boat, living on a boat, and all the challenges. But yeah, I think it just fascinates me. And there is a part, I think there's always a part of me that wants adventurous, wants to be spontaneous. It's like, what does it feel like to just sell everything and live on a boat? It's almost like a fantasy, really.
Yeah, what would it feel like? So a nice visioning question. What would it feel like, and getting people to talk about that, and what will it be like when you're over that wall?
Hmm.
And with that, with the was it a canal barge? This chap was he talking about like a canal barge, or was it just a different kind of boat that he was
It's a long boat. Yeah,
a lot? Yeah, yeah, a
he lives
narrow
on a
boat. Yeah.
canal, narrow boat. Mhm.
So you've just gone into your own process, a kind of a similar process to what you do with your clients. You've gone out and found information out. So you found out how roughly maybe how much it cost him to do this. Has it put you off?
Yes.
Fair enough. What was it? What put you off? Was it just the cost?
It's
Was it the
it's not the cost. I think this very tiny, it's very limited space,
hmm,
and I love cooking. So at this stage of my life, I want a massive kitchen with like an island in the middle, and this is something that I wanted to really do.
hmm,
It's to renovate our kitchen.
hmm,
So I think going back to the simple living, there is a part of me that wants very, very simple living and with minimum stuff
yeah,
and with very, very small um, environment and causing very small, I don't know, carbon footprint. A boat is probably not very great, to be honest. But anyway, but yeah, that part does not appeal to me. But I think the freedom and what it means to live on a boat, it's kind of like cruising around and showing the middle finger to everybody because it's like, I don't care, I live on a boat. I think that image appeals to me, but the reality, not so much.
right. But it might not be the to no pun intended, but it might not be the right vessel for you to find the adventure and freedom that you're after. But you're willing to have gone and had a look at it. You've at least
Hmm.
entertained the idea and watched a few videos. Um,
Hmm.
I think it's really important to do that, to get answers, because it's why it's great that we get no as a response sometimes, because at least we know it's a response. We can do something with the no that we have,
Mm.
and you can do something with the investigating a narrowboat. It's a no for you. Fine, cool. So what else might it be? Um,
Hmm.
do you have that with your clients who you mentioned some people you don't hear back from? Yeah.
Hmm.
So maybe they've
Hmm.
looked at what's the challenge they're
Yeah,
facing or the opportunities and said that's not for me.
yeah, definitely. Or they found some other services that maybe is
Mm,
more suited to their budgets and what they need. Yeah, I think handling the notes is also it's it's part of the thing that we have to learn to deal with, but it's also part of the things that we again is leading by example. So we need to be okay with the notes. And like you said, sometimes you don't hear actually it's a no, you just don't hear. So it's been ghosted. And that happens. When that happens, then it's another one of those conversations that you have with yourself because it's not about you, and the whole thing about don't take this personally. What it really means is this is a decision that the other person made.
mm,
It's not about who you are and what you stand for.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree with you. It's difficult at times,
Hmm.
because we're great, aren't we, at having conversations with ourselves in our heads and convincing ourselves that something is true when it might not be. Um,
When I do hear a no, though, I will follow up and ask them, the question why. What makes you not choose me, or what makes you choose other people? Sometimes I don't hear. Sometimes I do. Sometimes people would be very candid and say, "You are not what we're looking for," or
mm,
"I found something that is better suited to my needs," or "You are too expensive. I can't afford." And all of those, I
mm.
think whatever they gave me, whatever reason they gave me, I really appreciate because that's potentially something that I can learn from. And for those who never get back to me, and it's also fine.
Yeah, I think it's again, I agree with you. I think the no's are really useful, and it means I wouldn't. I hope that uh, for anyone, let's say who employs my services, I would hate it if if I found out someone had decided to work with me who didn't really want to work with me. Luckily, that's never happened,
Mm.
as far as I know. But I think having a no from somebody means then I'm available to work with somebody who's a yes.
Mm-hmm.
And this, I'm guessing the same is for you, is that that's the value
Mm-hmm.
in no. It's not bad, it's just a word, it's just a decision.
Mm.
And then you can then go to the next person in the line and say, what are you trying to achieve? And they might be the ones that say that's the person for us.
And one of the byproducts of this process for me is now I'm a lot more conscious about when I'm saying no to other people when it comes to services.
Mm-hmm.
And also I am a little bit sensitive to the quality of the service because I've been in in this industry serving as somebody who is giving a service, providing services. I do think that the quality of the service really, really says a lot about the individual, but also the business and organizations in general.
Mm.
So now if I, like a simple thing, like if you go to a restaurant and the way that the waiter is exempling basically is, I don't care. I don't care about what I'm serving. I don't care about you. I don't care about your experience. To me, that says a lot about the restaurant, not so much about the individual, because to that person, it's just a job. And it's probably not a job that they wanted to do for the rest of their life. So it's kind of like a transitioning job. And not everybody is passionate about serving. But it does, I think I feel more as somebody who's been served now because I've been on the other table for so many years. And also if I am indeed looking for service and I want to make a decision, I think I would think more about how that decision would potentially impact the other person. So if I hire a coach and if I want to hire a coach, and then let's say I tried different sessions with a couple of coaches and I decided not to work with one of them, I think I will tell them. I won't ghost them. I will tell them and I'll give them a reason why I don't want to choose to work with them. So yeah.
Okay, so you value information, you assume that it's valued by other people, you want to impart the information because it's helpful. Yeah, okay. Just processing what you're saying. It's good to just sit and think. Sometimes when we give over information, what we're hearing, I think, is the emotion that comes with it, or the perceived emotion, and that can sometimes block us from the actual information. So
okay.
if you give a no, someone might automatically say in their heads, "I've just received a no, and that means this," and off they go.
Yeah.
But I can see in you see the value of taking the time to not only offer that information, but understand it yourself. So what's your journey like with emotions?
I think my journey with emotions, if I look back, it really started with going back to what we talked about several minutes ago about checking that rucksack, what I don't want to see, or what I didn't want to see. So yeah, I have to go through the process of acknowledging that I have negative emotions. And one of them was anger.
Okay.
And it's one of those emotions that it's so easy to suppress, and it's so convenient to suppress for whatever reason. There's a large amount of reason why we suppress anger, especially as a Chinese woman. So coming from the family, certain values and cultures and educations and belief that was passed on to me. And the notion is you shouldn't be angry as a woman. Or if you express your emotions in an overt way, you are perceived as loud and aggressive and, bitchy. I don't think that's just China. I think it's in general. And even if I came out and say, I don't believe that, however, it is, in however way it's buried in my subconscious, I was still living in a way that I actively suppress my anger. As in, I don't communicate what I need clearly, or I tend to just let it go and neglect the thing that I wanted to say. So I didn't speak up, for example. That's one of the things. So what a great question. That's one of the emotions that I have to really work with, and to come to terms that it's okay to be angry. It's completely human to experience anger, even as a Chinese woman. However, we can process and express in a way that is healthy and constructive. So anger becomes very dangerous when it's destructive, when it's expressed in a way that is, violent. So yeah, that's a really good question.
Thank you.
5 stars.
Well, I've heard it said, and I kind of believe this, that emotions travel in pairs, and particularly about anger.
Okay.
I've heard it said more often than not. What do you take from that? Is there something that's traveling together with your anger?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, making peace with it. And I think just fundamentally feeling okay with having that emotion. Sometimes I think as a coach, we felt like we need to be a saint. we should not have that kind of, but we're just human beings. Of course, I experience that. I experience anger, I experience frustrations, but it's a matter of how I'm managing it in a way that is healthy and constructive. And how long do I want to stay in that state? Because we don't have to stay in that state for a long time. We can experience it. We can listen to the message that is there, but we don't have to just, punish ourselves and say, I need to be angry, or I'm not such and such. So I think it's a skill, really, to be able to manage it, to be able to express it, to be able to allow it. And also when I see that in other people, because I've experienced it myself, I can see a lot of people are suppressing their anger. And then when they do express it, it's usually in a very destructive way. So there's no balance. And yeah, that could be one of my missions, perhaps, is to help people to express anger properly.
Well, maybe when they arrive at the wall, and they've been suppressing it, and they're carrying their load and their rucksack, and things aren't perfect, and it might be something that causes them to come unstuck. Maybe that's something that's in the rucksack, anger, to get interested around. And
weighing them down.
Yeah, and whatever else arrives with it. But if you're there, you've been there, you've done that, got the T-shirt, you're still getting the T-shirt, you're still in process, and you're acknowledging that you have a certain journey with anger. To hear that from somebody else, when you're struggling, and someone says, "Yeah, I find that really difficult too." So, do you? It's just, good. It's not just me that's trying to keep this thing in the box,
Exactly.
And when you see someone snap, I immediately think, why? What's happened to them? Because it's not just the fact that someone cut them up in traffic. That's not it.
Exactly.
No matter how much they tell you, there's something else. Some storyline has got them to that point.
Exactly.
And I think with your interest in the why, one that I share with you, I think that almost can help you see past the offence, the display of anger. Do you watch any tennis?
No.
Okay, there's a character called Nick Kyrgios from Australia.
Uh-huh.
Wildly talented individual.
Uh-huh.
a handful on the court for any line judge, any umpire, even his own
Mhm.
family in the audience. Anyone is not off limits, you know. Um, and I was watching him and thinking, this is really interesting. What's going on here? Because
Mm.
this is not an angry person. There's a story here that I don't know about, and it
Mhm.
enabled me to see past the offence of yelling or I don't know, smacking a ball out the court, whatever it might be, and what's going on with you, you know, and
Mm.
I've yet to find out, and I don't know if it's
I
my
think you
fault.
should reach out to him.
Oh, should I reach out to Nick?
Yes,
Yeah. Hmm.
and say, hey, I found you very interesting. I want to have a conversation with you. Purposeful conversation.
I'll add him to my wish list. You
Why
never know.
not?
He might say yes. Yeah.
He might say yes.
Yeah.
Maybe people find him so scary they don't want to approach him. But you're the person who see past that and go, yeah, I want to talk to you. I want to know what's going on. I think Oprah has a new book, either this year or last year. Um, it's about changing the conversation instead of saying, what's wrong with you? Saying, what happened to you? What happened? That's exactly what you just told me. So,
Mm.
yeah, we can read that book and reach out to Nick.
Mm. 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 Okay. Well, thanks for suggesting that. Okay, I'll let you know. Yeah,
Do it.
when the Nick Kyrgios episode comes out. Um, okay, so there you are at the Great Wall of China. Lines of people. You're traveling up and down the line. You're being interested. You're getting yeses and you're getting nos. Um, someone can clearly see that you've been on this journey. That you're not the perfect article. You have your own bag to rummage through, and you demonstrated that with your story of being in Colorado. Um, and there's just a certain genuine streak that runs through you. You know, excuse my French, but you're just not a bullshitter.
Okay.
Okay, so I think that's highly appealing. If someone wants to go on an important journey, and you've been on an important journey, and you're going to come back and not tell a false story, and
Mm.
help people look at their own story and look in their own bag and make sure you're helping them engineer success. That is, I can see how that's entirely desired.
Mm-hmm.
That's really, really important. Okay. So I think we've got to get to that stage now where crikey, yeah, time has flown. It's been an hour. Okay. So we're looking for this metaphor for who you are, you know,
Okay.
at your peak,
Mm-hmm.
and the impact in which you have. Um, you're you're like a gift of vulnerability, I think. But but with like real world experience. Oh, what are you? Hmm. You're a gift of vulnerability. I'll just go with that for now. So the
Mm-hmm.
impact you have is you're just making it okay for people to be who they are and succeed with
Yeah.
that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you're the gift of vulnerability who allows people to succeed with who they are.
Mm-hmm. I
Okay,
have been thinking about this
go for it.
prior to our conversation, especially after watching other videos that you have. I'm, and I had this conversation with other coaches too. I think I am the mirror with, so I'm the mirror that people can use to see themselves.
Mm,
So yeah,
okay,
that's it.
the mirror. Okay, so I'm going to use that, and again, so this is partly about my perception of you. So this is
Okay.
me standing in your wake. So you can't stand in your wake. So
Uh-huh.
I'm still going to give you my take, and it's a gift.
Okay.
And I don't mind if you give me a no. If you know that no is good,
I will if I don't
yeah,
like it.
okay. So I'm going to modify what you said. So I think you're the mirror of vulnerability. who allows people to succeed with who they are. And I mean, that's what I mean is that they've got everything because, as you said, when you look in the bag, everything is
Mm-hmm.
there. Even the stuff that's missing or is not quite there is valuable because it's all information, like the foundations of the house. Look at them. Are they all there? No. Right, let's get busy around that area and get that sorted out so you can
Mm-hmm.
succeed. So you turning up and being that, I want to add in, you're the kind mirror of vulnerability, okay? And that
And the
kind of
mirror be kind. I'm
allows
writing it
people,
down.
yeah, please do. So the kind mirror of vulnerability who allows people to succeed with who they are. And I think that last part, with who they are, is quite
Mm-hmm.
important because we're not talking about someone being incomplete or missing something, or we are. You have what you need, but Moon is going to be here to help you see everything, and she's going to do it in such a kind way that you're going to really want to work with her.
Hmm. Kind mirror of vulnerability that allows people to succeed with who they are. Okay.
And it's just an offering.
Thank you. This is a beautiful gift.
So try it on. This is like I always say, it's like trying to find a jacket in a shop, and you're trying on different jackets, and some fit here and some fit there. And what I want, hopefully, one day is for you to go, oh, either yes or no, or this is the real fit, and it's a variation of what we just said. But again, this is me standing in your wake to a certain degree,
Mm-hmm.
telling you what it's like here as you motor in your boat along that pond.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. What a great conversation. And I can't believe we've 1 hour in. I thought I would be just talking in 5 minutes. But yeah, kind mirrors of vulnerability that allows people to succeed with who they are. I'm going to meditate on that, but I love it. And it's really interesting. This process for me is interesting as in I've never really given a lot of thoughts on vulnerability. And how do you pick that up? I don't know.
Mm.
But also, I do agree with the succeed with who they are part. I think that's what all coaches do. Um,
Mm.
we all believe that our clients already have what they need. They just need to come to terms with that and utilize it. The kind mirror part, again, is quite interesting. Yeah, I also haven't really thought a lot about the kindness part. So the kindness and vulnerability part really stands out. And whilst it's very flattering to see and to look at, there is a part of me that thinks, am I? So,
Right. Okay. So there's a story behind this life purpose statement, and it
okay.
includes someone who walks with anger.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah. Okay. It's
mm-hmm,
not all how someone might perceive it to be. So I think if you are going to meditate on this, it's also a good idea to maybe talk about it and say, hey, have this conversation. This has been the offering, and there's a bit of a story behind this. It's a refinement, it's a distillation process. I think just being interested about that story
mm-hmm,
can help you either get a yes or a no to how you feel about that purpose statement. Um,
mm-hmm,
but vulnerability, that includes your own journey with anger. Um,
mm-hmm.
uh,
It does.
going on a hike in Colorado and thinking that one bottle's enough. Had a very similar experience actually in Croatia not too long ago. Yeah. Hmm. Okay. Wow. Moon, thank you so much. I think we could go on for another hour. There's a few topics here we could definitely delve into and talk about more. But for now, I want to say thank you very much for joining me on the coaching channel. And
Thank you for having me, Rob.
it's been an absolute pleasure.
It's same here. And I loved your questions and especially your question about the emotion. Um, it's amazing how intuitive you are to pick up the information that is really needed for the sake of the conversation, but also for me. So I had a great time, and thank you for doing what you do.
Thank you very much. Thank you.